Okay, here's a simple riddle for you. What does your local minister, rabbi, and/or priest, and your grandparents and a salesperson have in common? Well, it's a very interesting question. Well, if they do their job well and they're effective at what they do, the answer is this. They have in common that they all tell stories well. And not only do they tell stories that you are never going to forget for the rest of your life. Now, why I'm bringing this up to you is because if you're looking to become a powerful persuader, you're looking to influence other people, sell more of your product, you're going to have to start instantly deciding to get good at telling stories. See, these people that I mentioned earlier, they tell stories that when they bring it up one time, they can tell you, it moves you, you come up with the answers yourself, you totally get the moral and the metaphor. And it doesn't matter if they bring it up 6 months or 6 years or even 6 minutes later, the second they mention that story again, it reminds you what to do and what not to do. Now, when you become really good at telling stories, I mean, become effective, start from, start of the process of not being that great to start with to getting better at it to becoming exceptional at it, you're going to notice more people are going to pay attention to you longer. It's going to be easier to prospect. When you are involved with the selling process, it's going to be easier and more fun for you and the client or prospect you're working with. And most importantly, it's going to ease the process of persuasion. The reason why stories are so effective and why for years they've been so effective at getting across to people like you and I is this. Stories allow people to come up with the answer for themselves. Nobody wants to be told what to do. Yet if you could come up with the answer for yourself, that's the power and the benefit of stories. So if you have a pen and paper, you're going to definitely want to jot down a couple of notes. It's a very short and simple video. And by the end of this video, you're going to have some little powerful but concrete ways that you're going to be able to become more effective if you're already telling stories, or you're going to get yourself starting telling stories, and you're going to be really good at this right away. And the reason why I'm saying you're going to be good at this right away is I'm going to make it easy for you to start becoming effective in the storytelling arena. So when it comes to telling stories, when it comes down to sales and telling stories, there's a couple of things that you want to know. You're going to have to know the different types of stories that are out there. There's different stories with different meanings. And the point of any great story is it has a meaning and a metaphor at the end. There's the story like my dad told when I was a kid of, you're walking, he tells a story about the guy walking down the street. He tells what's called a parallel story, which I'm not going to get into these today, but a parallel story is very simple of, Bill or Susie or Johnny walked around with no shoes on and they wound up getting, tetanitis. They need a tetanus shot that was this long, and don't walk around with no shoes on. That's the parallel story of the don't do this. Or maybe it's the story of a person who failed doing something very similar to what you're about to do. Or maybe it's the motivational story of the person that did it and they overcame all the obstacles, like the Rocky Balboa story. Well, two of the most crucial stories that you're going to have to learn how to master and kind of craft your own are what I call the benefit story as well as the urgency story. Now, the reason I chose the benefit and the urgency story over the motivational story, the parallel story, why you need to do this now story, all those, is because these are stories that you're going to have to learn how to master and use, and they become a natural part of your presentation. Now, what I mean by the benefit story is very simple. Now, every product, every service, every opportunity that somebody offers has features and benefits. And the difference between features and benefits is features is, it has an on-off switch. Well, the benefit for you is you can save electricity and it doesn't burn out as quickly. The difference between a feature and a benefit, well, it's very simple. There's enough books and enough content on the internet for you to find out about this. But the benefit of a benefit story is very simple. What a benefit story allows you is the ability to tell a testimonial of how your product benefited, in quotes, another person, so they can put the 1 + 1 = 2 together in their brain and say, wow, if I pick up this product and I use the product in a similar way, it's going to what? Benefit me at the same time. The power of the urgency story is very simple. It allows people to know the difference of whether it's a good idea to move forward now or take their time, think about it, ask their husband and wife, ask the dog catcher. And you and I know if you're in sales, you have a quota and you know that you got somebody on the fire and they're pumped up and they're excited and ready to go, you got to have them find the urgency to move forward right away. The secret to a powerful benefit story is you have to find a value-added benefit that your product offers that is above and beyond what you're about to explain during your presentation. I'll give you a prime example. Let's just say I was selling a nutraceutical product or a vitamin or something to make you feel better, be in better shape, regulate blood flow, whatever it is in your body. Let's say I was marketing a product like that. Well, let me ask you a simple question. Has there ever been a habit that you've had in your life that you knew for a fact it is a very good idea to break when it comes to food, it comes to nutrition? You know you shouldn't do that anymore. You do it daily, weekly, monthly, and it affects your health. Well, there's a woman in my office, and one day she comes up to me and she said, "It's 3 o'clock." And I'm like, "Great, it's 3 o'clock. What's the big deal? It's 3 o'clock pretty much every day." She said, "No, it's sugar time, 3 o'clock. I said, "Sugar time, 3 o'clock? What does that mean?" She goes, 3 o'clock every day, I search for some sugar. If I can't find it, I find a coffee drink, I find a tea with honey. I have to have my sugar at 3 o'clock. And just jokingly, I said, "I have this product that I use it to regulate blood flow with my heart, but I've heard it has some side benefits that could help you with that." I give her the product, she pops 3 of these little pills, and 2 days later, she comes back to me and I say, "So how's that product going?" And she says, "You wouldn't believe it, Mike. Yesterday, I, didn't realize it, but 3:30 rolled around and I didn't have my sugar need time." I said, "Okay," and she goes, "And today I had 4 o'clock roll around and I realized, wow, it's been an hour and I still don't want the sugar." But the most amazing thing happened last night was typically at night before I go to bed, by 8 o'clock every single night, I'm always craving cake or donuts or something, and I didn't want anything. And I said, "That's pretty amazing." And I said, "All because you took this?" She said, "Yes, all because I took this product." And when I met with her about 2 weeks later, she said something really also just really amazing to me. She said, "Michael, I'm usually the first person when the waiter comes around to raise my hand and say, when dessert time, anybody want to order dessert? I'm the first to jump up and raise my hand." And she said, "Since I've been taking that product, I haven't wanted any more dessert at all. And it's not that I don't eat it, it's just I don't crave it anymore at the same level." Well, the reason that story is so beneficial, and really why I call it a benefit story, it's a value-added benefit. The product is there to regulate blood flow and your immune system, but an extra benefit that all people want is the ability to break a bad habit. I know for a fact, as you're watching this right now, you're like, "Well, what is it? I want to know more about that product." Well, I don't have it to sell, and I don't offer that product at all, but it's a value-added benefit that people want. Not just to take a product that makes them feel better, that helps them break a habit that they have. Remember, a value-added benefit is powerful. Not just talking about, what the car offers, that the car gets you from point A to point B. It's the extra benefits of the car's navigation system, or the doors that lock on their own, and if you have the key in your pocket, they open also, and how when you're stranded out in the rain, it opens for you. And tell the story about the woman who's running with her computer and it's out, and because she has that door, boom, she gets in. We've all had times that things have gotten ruined because we weren't ready to get in our cars. Now, why I'm telling you this is every one of you has to have a benefit story for your product, an alternative benefit, a value-added benefit to make your product stand out, and also so the brain can say, "That's great, and everything else he said is great. That's something I'm looking for." So that's a benefit story. The second type of story I told you I was going to tell is called an urgency story. And this is one I guarantee you've had something in your life where there's been times that you were not aware, that if you ever said, "If that ever happens to me again, I will totally do it different." Well, I remember the year was, I believe it was 2009, and it's always been in one of those things that I wanted is I always wanted a Mac computer. I wanted to turn the whole office over to Mac computers. The reason why is I thought they were great for small business owners, they had great for creativity, for shooting videos, all kinds of stuff. A Mac computer was going to be the way to go. So I finally got that day where I said, "You know what, Deborah, let's just go down to the store and get all Macs for us, for our family, and start loading up the office with computers and Macs and everything like that." So I went down to the Mac store that day, and this is right in the middle of, what they said, the Great Recession of the 2000s, where the economy was just on a dive. And I was totally in my tunnel vision. I was set in my ways. I was just going to go in and get my computers. So I go in there that day and I bought, I believe, about $10,000 worth of computers and, different products from the Mac store and software. And I come home and I walk out of there all excited. Now, I didn't realize something very interesting that day, that the Mac store was packed with people. The entire rest of the mall was dead. It was like a ghost town. But the Mac store, which has very high-priced products, was packed full of people. And I never thought to look that day at what the stock price was for Mac. And I think at that time it was somewhere between $150 to $200. Well, within a month of going to the store that day, the stock price went not from 100 to 200, 200 to 300, it went up to like $450 to $500. I never took the time to notice, wow, there's people here, there must be something here. It's time to take advantage of what's right in front of me. Now, the benefit of telling that story is, at the end, I would say something to the effect of, I'll never do that in my life again. If there's something I need to notice or do, I'm going to do it right away, and I'm never going to be that person that gets caught blindsided by not paying attention. The reason you want to tell the story, it's about a person that missed an opportunity, that didn't take advantage of it. It was right in front of them. Where something they could have bought for $150 went to $600 in a matter of months. Or whatever product I'm selling you now, you could take advantage of now, and you can have your health you're looking for within days, weeks, or months, or this insurance policy. You never know why you need to buy it. The reason why I'm bringing this up is you're going to need a benefit story, a story that tells the story of someone that got an extra benefit from your product. You're also going to want to tell a story about urgency. It doesn't have to be related at all to what you're selling, but it gets in someone's head, and it does what I said earlier. It creates a parallel between you, them, and a decision they should make. Urgency stories are around us all the time. There's been times in your life where you've missed out on something and you should have taken advantage of it. So the secret, the way to make these stories work is what you say before the story begins. Like, for instance, before the benefit story, I said to you something effective. Has there ever been a habit that you had that you knew you should break? The second you use a recall, you get someone to go back in their brain and think, have you ever experienced blank? Before you start, explaining your product to someone, you say, has there ever been something that you didn't know about? And once you found out about it, you were so excited? Once you do that, you bring up in their brain a recall of a past experience when they've done that before. Remember, people don't understand what's going on right now. They understand what's happened before in their lives. Creating that recall before you tell the story is not only critical, it's the only way to make the story work. You got to get good at recall. So one of the simple ways to create recall is you can say, have you ever had a time where this happened to you? Or can you remember? Now, once you get good at this, and I'm telling you, every one of you can get good at this, you can think of a benefit story of your product immediately and start coming up with one right after this. And an urgency story is you got to come up with a time that it was a good idea that you moved now. When you moved now, or you missed out on an opportunity that could have been great for you. And once you get this down, it comes down to the last piece. And what I call is a very simple thing called future recall. Now, what future recall is so powerful is because what these stories do is they apply like an anchor into somebody's unconscious mind. They create this like memorable thing. Like you hear people that talk about biblical stories, say, remember the story what Job did, or remember what Noah did, or remember the story about Bruce down the street. It brings back instantly the story into their conscious mind, and it brings it up to be recalled again. See, the key to future recall is in the later portions of your sales presentation. After you told the urgency story, right before you ask for the sale, you do the close thing, you have the opportunity to say, after that day at the Apple store, I realized, as I'm sure you did, it's a good idea to jump on things when you know they're a good idea. Boom, you recall the story again for them. The second you recall the story, it brings up all the emotions, all the things they thought earlier, so it happens in their life. You could say the recall story for the nutraceutical product. So let me ask you, if you could eat less sweets and eat more healthy food, obviously that's something you want to do. Remember what I shared with you? That's just one of the benefits that you're going to get from this. Instantly recalls that emotions and things that they're dealing with in their life so they can feel like they can work on them right away. So here's my recommendation for you. Go out there and practice telling stories. Go out there, write a benefit story tonight, practice it with your family, tell it to your cat, tell it to your dog, go use it in your next sales presentation. Find an urgency story in your life and practice telling it. No one is great at anything right away. You're gonna get good at this as time flies, as time goes by. The more times you tell it, the better you get, the more effective you're gonna get. Benefit stories, urgency stories, and start off with the very simple basics. Have you ever and can you remember? The second you do that, you're gonna get better, and then you can recall it again. Use a future recall to allow yourself to lock in that feeling and that emotion, and you get to be right up there with the people I talked about earlier. The rabbis, the priests, the ministers, your grandparents, the people that told you stories that made you feel comfortable doing things. So go out there, share stories, and do a little benefit for yourself. Post down below how well this video worked for you. And not only how well it worked for you, post how the successes that you've gained from telling stories. Go post them down below, share your gains, share your excitements, and let's go out there, take some action, and be more persuasive together. Take care and have a great day.